Okay, so we are starting with relationship and family segment. Fatherhood today was changed. I think a lot has changed in today's family and the role of dads. I think a lot of things have changed in today, the way fathers are involved. I think fathers are a lot more involved than they used to be back in the days, but I still think that we overhype the father's involvement when you guys actually do something. Like, it's like, do you want a cookie? It's
Do y'all want a
you
cookie?
guys do more now than before, but I mean, it's like it's called two parents, not one parent. And I think I could understand a little bit more back in the days because the mother stayed home, like it was really stay-home moms, and then the dad was the breadwinner.
So you're coming to bash the dads in this conversation?
No, I'm just coming with facts. But now it's like in modern, like somebody like me, I'm like conservative modern woman. So it's like I love working. I love taking care of the home, but I don't think you should get a cookie for taking care of your child. Like, nobody gives me a cookie for taking care of the kid. Why do you get a cookie to take care of the kid? It's a metaphor.
I'm just
Leave me
joking.
alone with the cookie. But it's like, wow, he changed a diaper. Woo, you got yourself a winner. Like, bro, I changed like 20 diapers today. Where the frick is my trophy?
Yeah, but the difference is, again, most guys that's not considered as a woman thing. So it is an improvement, whether it's small or large. Just like saying, oh, you fixed the toilet or you fixed a light bulb. Okay, you put it in. Good job. We're supposed to do that same thing too. Do you want a cookie now because you want to put out the trash today? I'm just saying.
Well, I like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's like for a normal woman, then maybe, but I can change plumbings, I can change lights fixtures, I can build furnitures, like,
Today.
like I can do a lot of things. So technically, yes, I do. If I don't get cookies for these things, I don't think you deserve a cookie for changing one diaper throughout the day. Like, no. I think things have become different. So I don't think we should be handing out cookies for doing your parental duties. I don't think cookies should have never been handed out for doing your parental duties, especially now that women are sharing even more of the workload. Like, I don't know. So that's my personal
I think you're losing
opinion.
focus.
No, because it goes with fatherhood. Like, guys are more involved now, but I think they're getting too much praise for things. Don't worry, I have good stuff to say in the future comments too. I don't think it was a bad thing, but it's just like, oh, your father never changed a diaper. Well, that's your bad for allowing him to do that.
I think that is true.
Like,
you set the boundaries in a relationship.
Exactly. Like, I don't have to do everything. Like, a woman shouldn't have to do everything. And honestly, even if a woman is a stay-at-home wife, I still think that the dad should be more involved because it's also a bonding. Yes, changing a shitty diaper is a bonding experience with your child, but guys are more involved in that way today. So I can say that. And I think guys have come a long way in changing diapers and getting more involved with dropping off at school and stuff like that. So we have come a long way, but I don't think we should be handing out cookies, especially in very conservative families. I guess that goes piggyback on the conservative that we had last week. Families that we talk about, like, Indians and stuff, like the man isn't supposed to do all these things. Like, but why not? But I think in modern days, it's come a long way.
I think it really just depends on. I think it depends on the woman too, because some women, they are fine with that role. Let's be clear that yes, it is okay for the guys to be involved, but don't go bashing the guys because they did not for a reason. Like, some women just understand that that's their role. And if you have the more progressive women that want to do that, like more aggressive, you're becoming in the conversation over here. tooting your own horn over too much, but yeah, I think it's just understanding that you have to understand who your partner is and what you expect from them. I mean, if the woman expects the guy to help out more, then I don't think there should be nothing wrong with that. I don't see that as a big deal. I did it. We both took turns on everything. I changed diapers. I picked him from school. I bathed him. I've done all that stuff already. So I don't think that's necessarily like a too much to ask. But I think still the woman should be the majority person that deals with those things.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because we're mothers and I think we're more maternal. And yes, we didn't have that problem in this relationship, but that's also because I think, like you said, you have to establish the boundaries. So it goes with communication. But my mother was handing out cookies to Chris. Oh my God, you found a good one. He changed diapers. Like, what? She never get turned my horns for changing diapers. Like, really, bro?
Because you're supposed to.
No, because my father didn't do jack crap.
Exactly what I said.
She comes from a generation of like, he doesn't do nothing.
That's what I said. You have to understand the boundaries and the guy you have to see whether if he's a useless guy before, let's be clear. If the guy was useless from before, he didn't really do much, don't expect him because you have a kid. All of a sudden he's gonna change diapers. It ain't gonna happen.
They had so many kids and I don't think he's ever changed a diaper
Like
in
as you
his
said,
life.
as you said with your dad, like your mama brought him the plate of food, like he didn't wash dishes. So if he knew that stuff before, ladies, please don't expect him to go all of a sudden now become this amazing person because he's a dad. It ain't gonna happen.
That's very true. That
So if your guy is very traditional from the beginning, he's most likely gonna continue being
in fatherhood
exactly like that in there. So don't blame the dude because I'm all alone. No, that's who he was. That's how he's gonna stay.
It's back to the relationship conversations we've had too. That's something you should discuss before having kids, in my opinion. Your parent basically it falls under your parenting style. That would fall under parenting style.
Yeah, to me, that's when you getting into a relationship, you have to go and ask those questions. And to me, the earlier on, the better to see where this is gonna go, what kind of guy you are, because you can go into it 2 years later and realize, oh, I don't want kids, I don't like kids, or maybe you don't want to get married. Like, I mean, you should know these things from early on.
Definitely.
As awkward as it may be to be asking about marriage, but I think it is what it is.
Well, at a certain point in your relationship, it shouldn't be awkward. Like, if it wasn't awkward for you guys to sleep together, you should be able to talk about marriage at some point. Like,
so I guess day one is the time then.
Anyways, that would be a conversation for another time. So apparently, some research says that children have the time fathers spend with their children has tripled since 1965. That went very far in time. I would hope so, because I would hope, society changes. And more than half of fathers nowadays, they say they're more involved in parenting. They are just as involved. So more than half is good, which I agreed that now guys are way more involved. And the US Census data shows that the number of stay-at-home dads has doubled since the 1980s, late 1980s. That's actually interesting, the stay-at-home dad. So now, I guess because a lot more, either the dad is working from home or the mom is in charge of bringing the money and the dad is staying at home. What do you think of that?
I don't think I would want that role, even if you're making more money. I mean, that's like, I'm sorry, guys, but that's not a man's role. I'm sorry. That's never going to win for me. Nothing wrong with helping out if you, once and every now and then, but to say like, she's the breadwinner, you're staying at home. No, I don't see that. That's just, the roles are flipped and you know who is wearing the pants. I'm sorry.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do find it weird. Like, I don't know. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just wouldn't work for me. Like you said, even if I made more money, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. But if it works for you, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Some guys are very nurturing, and so I think it could work. It works for some families. Whatever works, as long as the kid is loved, safe, and getting all its needs, I think it's fine.
I think it maybe depends too on the age gap. Like, I don't think I want to have that role at, let's say, 2 months, 3 months to like, maybe after 2 years, I could manage that. But to say like,
because you can change diapers.
Not just the diapers. But that's more important, and that disconnection will definitely cause some type of an issue with that kid, I'm sure. Being now the dad is not a role and the mom is the one who's gone. There has to be some kind of a stats on that type of stuff where you lost that mother figure, especially if it's a boy. The mom is always out. You don't get that love from your mother. Whereas,
Actually, that's true.
especially with boys always get more towards their mother. That's always a loving thing, and how that plays, I can't really say
My
exactly.
baby.
But I would like to see how those relationships change the kid, because I know, like, there's a mama's boy, so what, the boys become daddy's boy or in those situations? Is that how that relationship would change?
I don't know, but not even based on the sex of the kid, but it's true on the attachment, because you should spend a certain amount of time
Both to me.
with the kid,
Yeah.
period. As a mother,
Yeah.
I think there's attachment period time frame or something like that. So I don't know, but I do see it's like it happens a lot more than it used to. Well, I don't think it ever used to really happen. Period. T, unless maybe the dad was disabled and it was easier for him to stay home, and then the wife's working. I'm assuming. Um, I think society's expectation of fathers has evolved a lot. We expect now, I think, in our relationships, the dad to be a lot more involved, and I think they are.
And this too, especially, I guess, when you have a kid, we have that friend in common. He said that between his first kid and his second kid, they're miles apart different, because he had it with two different mothers. And I guess also with the first one, I guess he was more disconnected on that initial part of it. And then we get into the details, but because this one, the second, you would think for him, this is his second kid, so he sees it as a little bit different. But for her, it was a totally new experience. So she definitely needed that more help in the situation versus, but for him, it's like, I've been there, done that already, so it became a lot harder for him, involvement wise and need wise, in the second kid, which was kind of interesting to see.
I have no idea who we're talking about.
I don't want to
So-
put I don't want to
No,
put a
I
name.
know. So I'm gonna be asking after the show on who the heck we're talking about. I guess, yeah, fathers are supposed to have the discipline role in the relationship, where the mother creates the more nurturing emotional role.
Well, just to throw out some stats here along this topic, it says 1 in 4 children in the U.S., about 18.4 million, live without a biological stepdad or adoptive father in the home.
Basically, just a father figure.
Father figure, yeah.
In any way.
But 1 in 4 is a pretty bad stat to say that amount of kids don't have a dad in their home.
I personally thought it would have been higher than 1 in 4.
Yeah, still that's a lot.
Like, you see so many single parents now; it's ridiculous.
And they say the kids are 4 times more likely to live in poverty, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, 2 times more likely to drop out of high school, 2 times more likely to be obese. Wow, that's kind of crazy. Your kid becomes, gains more weight because they don't have a father. That's interesting. More likely to abuse drugs and alcohol and to be incarcerated because they don't have a dad. That all shows you how important that keeping that relationship with the father is important, whether you're necessarily together. But I think involvement would help your kid so much more in the future. But I think the biggest problem with that, which we've discussed that before, is that it's always easy to have the dad in the picture when there is not another potential dad. When you're single, it's okay. But when you find another person in the picture, the relationship becomes very awkward because there's a third wheel in the picture. And then, but it really depends on what kind of guy you have, what kind of relationship you have, whether it becomes a toxic relationship or not. That's the part that gets crazy. But I think it's important that they are somewhat around as much as possible.
I have a couple of things on that. So first of all, the dad, having both parents, I think, in the home is super important, and the dad has a very big role And that I'm just going to touch on the subject because it fits in that, but I think that would be a show by itself. I have it scheduled as a whole show. The government knows the importance of, I guess, what you call the nuclear family, like having a whole family, which is why when they started the whole separations of removing Black men in their homes, when they start building those ghettos, I guess what you would call like now Section 8 and stuff, basically public housing and stuff like that, they realized that if they could, they would they started giving money, the whole Medicare, well, not Medicare, Medicaid, but the whole, what do you call that?
Yeah, stuff.
Stamp, not food stamp, but all those government programs. I can't think of the word right now, but all those government programs where you get money from the government, they were starting to, they started giving out more money to Black women if the man wasn't living in the home. So now, if you're already living in poverty and you're realizing that you can make more money, you can get more free money to help you put food on the table. If the guy is not in the home, the guy is going to start living outside of the home. So now those children started being raised by basically single women because the dad isn't there. He has to live somewhere else. And it started the beginning of where we are today. And where we are today is that, especially in Black families, Black home, I think more American, Black American than Caribbean background. I think because generations before it started, now we're at a point where all those girls are having different baby daddies. They're used to being single women, so many dads, and now they're minimizing the importance of the dad in the home. And my second point on that too is that's with also the hip hop and stuff is all in the push agenda. They're making it seem like the man in the home is so unnecessary and like, like we're allowed to curse on here. So like you ain't shit. Like I don't need you, this kind of vibe of attitude and pushing the guy. Or if you have an issue with the guy, you don't want him around the kid and you're using your kid as a weapon, even if the man wants to be involved. And two things with that. Once you have a kid, it's not about you. It's about the kid. So if you have an issue, you don't have to talk to the guy. You can just schedule the pickup. He can go with his dad. He or she can go with their dad and come back. So you shouldn't use a child as a weapon because they need their father and their mother in their life to grow up to be fully, like healed, functioning humans. And it was done by design when they tried to take Black families out, but Black people don't realize all this and they continue the nonsense. And now we are in today where it's so sad. Like some men want to be involved in their kids' life and these girls just use it as weapons and minimizing the importance and make men feel like shit. Like, and I don't think it's right. Like children need to have both a man and a woman in their life so that they can grow up without mommy issues or daddy issues.
Yeah, that's definitely a big problem because especially it's with boys and girls, because I think definitely works two ways. You want the man to help establish the boy to be
A man.
a man. Yeah. You want good manners, how to treat a woman, how to treat their mother. That's one important part that they won't learn if there's not a mother. They just treat women like shit, because if they have a good relationship at home, they would see how to treat women by themselves. And then also how to just be a strong, decent man. Understand boundaries, rules, regulations, respect law and order. Because it starts at home. If you don't respect, your dad in the house, you typically don't respect anybody, because that's like the alpha top dog right there to anybody.
That's true.
If you don't have that guy, somebody telling you, how to behave and calm your ass down, you're gonna go out and do nuts in the street, because nobody can tell me nothing, because I'm the boss here in that relationship. And for the women, well, the young girls in this situation too, That's why you get so many hoes, because their daddies ain't putting their ass in line, you know?
Well, I don't think that's that only.
Well,
That
not only
is
that,
to show
but
you, as long as the relationship is good at home, so you can see what it looks like to be treated in a relationship.
yeah, goes back to the same thing again. You want to see a good example of how a man should treat you versus going out there in the streets and, looking for any type of just one-off type of stuff.
But that's also depending on whether you have a home, a good home too. So I think
Yeah.
that matters as well. I also don't think people should stay together for children.
Yeah.
Like, because kids are not stupid. They can feel it. Even if you try to fight behind, first, they can hear you half the time. Second, kids have like that sense. They feel things and they know they're not stupid. Like, you've heard kids tell their parents when they get older and they're like, oh, we're going to divorce. Oh, you guys should have divorced when I was like 5. Like, you know what I mean? So kids are not stupid. They know. So don't also stay. But yeah, do not minimize the importance of a man in a relationship.
And then that's why they're doing the whole rap music too. They're
Mhm.
promoting all the music now is promoting being a hoe and, WAP, wet ass pussy, whatever, and
It's
that type
all
of
by
stuff.
design.
It's all by design because they're thinking it's okay. Like, let's go back to the whole shaming of, things in private, like home, nothing. There's no guy, it's all cool when you're young, but at a certain point, the guys don't want a hoe. Be realistic. And if you're known to be a hoe, like, it's like, I don't know, you can just start over somewhere else because nobody wants a hoe. Sorry.
And no, that is not woman empowerment.
Tell that to the generation.
It really isn't. That is just not cute. Let's bring shame back. Like, I don't know, something back or morals or something, but it is not cute. Forget the men. It's just not cute for yourself. Like, I don't want my children hearing. You listen to music and it's just like, and I can even say now, because now I listen to songs that we used to listen to and I actually pay attention to the words and I'm like, oh my God, I sang this thing back then. And then you realize it was like about younger girls, but that's maybe we should have a show about
Music.
the just music industry. I'm going to add that to the list. So I guess one point too, I forgot to touch since we're talking about the shift and how it has changed. It has also changed, yes, in workplace policies has changed for some, I guess in some places, companies, I think a lot in Europe. Also, you get paid paternity leave more than you used to. It's increased 8% since 2018. Which I never realized, never thought about it, that it was a thing, but I've seen stuff that apparently it's also more in Europe. Europe is more like, well, in Europe, you also get like, I think some crazy time off for women after giving birth. So in America, they expect you to be there back like the next day, but that's a whole different story too. And then fathers now represent 17% of all stay-at-home parents compared to just 10% in 1989. So that was in 2021. It came 17% up.
One thing I think that has also changed is I think a lot of guys now try harder to fix the cycle of their past, what they had with their dad, that they want to be in the role a lot more than they used to. A lot of that, especially all the guys who had the single dad syndrome where their dad was not involved. They want to fix that in this cycle a lot more than they used to before.
That's true.
They want to at least somewhat, even if it doesn't work out, as you said, they want to still definitely try and be there more than they would have.
That's true. So I guess new challenges father faces, basically the same challenge women have faced, but since we're hanging out cookies for guys, balancing modern parenting with career pressures. Like women do that all the time, but since we're handing out cookies, congratulations for being a dad and having a job. Whoa! You should try doing house duties with it. Anyways, overcoming stereotypes that fathers can be as nurturing or capable as mothers. I think some fathers do pretty good as that. Co-parenting with blending families. I think people have come a long way with that. I've seen some people do some great co-parenting, and I've seen some super shady co-parenting. So I think it really depends on the person and as an individual, like, are you going to use it? You know what we're talking about. Are you going to use your personal feelings against, the dad instead of putting the kids first? Or are you guys going to put your issues aside and just deal with your children as you should?
You know something that's kind of crazy right here? Boys without fathers are more likely to have behavioral issues, and girls are more likely to experience low self-esteem and relationship instability in adulthood. That says a lot about what's going on in this country right now, where everybody's just going nuts. So all the robberies and all the nonsense that's happening, those stats are probably a lot higher with what's happening in this country now. Everybody going in the streets just doing all this craziness, all the robbing and all the stuff that's happening with all the cars and everything like that. I think that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, I guess because it does seem like it comes from more families with single parents. But you can't judge because I don't know the stats on that. But I wouldn't be surprised. It would make sense. So I guess in general, we're just like moving where the fathers are becoming more involved and more hands-on. Um, I think that's a good thing. I hope to find more of that, but I hope that mother-in-laws and mothers just stop handing out cookies for doing the bare minimum.
I think one thing that has also changed now is I think dads are opening up more on their own feelings, personal feelings, or getting more help and support from whether it's other dads, support groups. That's been something that I've seen a lot these days on Facebook, especially.
Because you have that guy group.
Yeah, that a lot of guys looking for help and support on how to do situations versus because you used to have a lot of burnout things inside where you're just getting depressed and nuts, killing yourself because just life just gets rough sometimes.
I think that would be another topic, but yeah, I think guys, and I was watching a video about that's a different pressure because guys are supposed to be stronger. You can't really express your feeling because then you're like, it makes you like a wuss. But if you you don't express your feelings, then you're not they have communicating properly. But then so it's like a stupid cycle. So that was a very deep video, but it was good. And I guess, yeah, that is a topic too, but that's more, I guess, on the guy issues. But I think we've come a long way, especially now since everyone is open about like therapy and stuff like that, which before that wasn't a thing at all. So maybe we're doing better with that. So to recap this, we do need fathers in the home. If you think we don't, it was made by design, but we do. Kids need that structure of a man and a woman in the home. Guys, the role in for dads is changing. Guys are becoming more nurturing. And you guys have come a long way. And I guess now families are looking a little different with the dad staying home, the mom working, so I guess it's whatever works for your home. But the main point on this is yes, dad are needed for the children.
The stats don't lie, people.
Facts.
Just look it up. I mean, you don't have to believe us, but look at the stats. It says a whole different thing on what the guy's involvement is. So if you're a single mother, definitely go out there and try and figure out a way to get that guy back in somehow. Or I guess if not, at least definitely
a father figure.
Or find a father figure. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
have
it
to
could
be
be
that
a
guy, but
stepdad.
he needs to have him or her needs to have a dad, but that gets complicated to the child extent to whether they want to accept that person. But you know, do what you can.
All right. So now let's go into the second part of the show. Entrepreneurship, time management tips for busy entrepreneurs balancing work and personal life. This should be interesting subject because I don't think Chris has any work-life balance, time management. So I would love to see. Oh, no. I suck at it. But I was going to skip this subject, but Chris said we should talk about it. And it's not because I don't think it's an important subject, but I don't think we're any expert in this subject. But I guess we could bring in our point of view in it and maybe what I would like, meaning like what I would think would be that where I'm trying to get to. just, I guess, a different perspective. But
the thing about this also is it's about having information. You're never going to get to be able to fix a problem if you don't understand what the options are either. Because if you don't know what to do, how are you going to get there? What if you don't know how to manage your time?
I get it.
Well, you know the things, but it's a matter of, I think the problem with us especially is that I don't think we necessarily, it could help and improve us, but I don't know if it's necessarily needed 100% in our lives, that it became a problem that is distracting us from getting something done. Because I think our time is pretty flexible is what the issue is with us.
I don't think it matters because every entrepreneur's time is flexible, but they still have a schedule. Yeah. Anyways, we're going to get into the topic. So my personal struggle is, well, I guess that's kind of what you were talking about. But what I think is I'm always trying to figure out a schedule. I love notebooks and agendas. I live for that. As a